Hello, fellow woodies. Does your thickness ever have an episode? An episode of me to you to me? Well, as you can see, we have two pieces of wood here trying to race ahead. Simulated that it is. And we've got one piece of wood here, well, dragging behind. Oh, I wonder why that is. Well, hopefully, I can explain to you in this video. Okay, let's calm down a bit, all right? Let's calm down. It's not complicated, all right? No. So if I remove my lid, right? Some people might say I've already done that, but anyway, remove the lid off my thickness and I'll put it over here, out of the way. I'll probably fall off because it's sitting on top of an axe. Then the axe will fall hit me on my foot, you see. But don't worry, I've got my health and safety Crocs on. They're bouncy, but they are. Anyway, so I've been playing in these pieces of wood which are wet, okay? Not an ideal situation, no, but I just wanted to make a greenhouse door, a polytunnel door actually, and I'll run it through the planer, and it's wet wood, hence I've got all this nasty crap building up on the rollers. Now, if you've got a box planer, like one of them site planers, like the walls at 735, 736, if you've got something like that, well, they've got rubber rollers, and the problem with rubber rollers, it will build up around on the rubber rollers, and not evenly across the roller, wherever you've been passing the wood through. So one part of the roller will have a build-up of goo, and the other part of the roller won't. And this also applies if you're planning pine, what have you, it's got like a resin content, and some of that resin's getting left behind on the rollers. So you must clean the rollers regularly. More so if you're dealing with wet wood, as you can see. It's fluffy. Yeah, it's not ideal, is it? No. So, silly thing to do, really. But, you see, that isn't just the reason. No. That's one problem you might have, because wherever the roller has goo on it, it's effectively got a bigger diameter or radius. It becomes fatter. And also, with all that goo on it, the goo itself doesn't actually grip the wood. You know, the fact that we have this heavy ribbed roller on this machine, okay, I can cut through it a bit, you know, it's got quite a bit of pressure, it's quite strong. But if you've got a roller, machine with rubber rollers on, if those rollers aren't clean, your wood is likely to just stop. And, you know, you'll be pushing it through and pulling it and think, oh, crikey, there's something wrong with this plane. Well, there is, because you haven't looked after it. Simple as that, all right? You just got to keep it clean. Now, the other thing is, with machines that have weak roller springs, and that'd be box planers, like the springs that DeWalt, you know, the little square planer that you put on the bench top, what have you. Those kind of planers do not have strong springs. This thing is a beast, and it has big old flipping springs you can adjust and crank them right down and what have you, and it'll pull the wood through no matter what, within reason. But even this one struggles. So what I do with this plane, all right, for starters, if I'm not going to do this kind of work, I'll be using a block of wax like this one. This is a block of paraffin wax. Just stuff they use to put on top of your jams and conserves and stuff. You melt it a little bit to seal the tops. That's all that is, all right? It's a candle, basically, you know, it's the same wax, paraffin wax. And I'll do it on the bed, but also on the non-plane side, on the opposite face side, I'll run a bit longer, and that helps the planer to push it on, because the wet wood or high resin wood will stick to the table, you see. All right, you've got to keep that all waxed up and shiny, all right? Otherwise it'll grip the wood. So that's another reason. But one of the biggest causes of this is when people, especially with those box planers, are trying to pass multiple pieces of wood through, more than two. You can get away with 2 pieces at a time, but when you get to 3 pieces of wood, you're creating an issue, especially if it's the first pass. Because if it's the first pass, one piece of wood might not be the same thickness or depth, or width or whatever, as the other 2 pieces. And that will cause an issue. Now, let's say, for instance, right, I run these pieces of wood through, these 2 here, all right, argument's sake, exactly the same thickness, all right? And I pass them through the planer together. One side of the roller will have its own tension, and it'll squeeze on top of the piece of wood, pulling it through successfully, alongside the other piece of wood that I will put on the other end of the roller. So I won't put them next to each other, that's a mistake. Put them on either side of the actual roll. Plus, it's a good idea to use as much of your cut block as you possibly can, so you don't end up with a big warm bit down the middle. Because half the time you're putting narrow pieces down, you always pass it down the middle of your planer. That's silly. Use the whole width, like you would do your saw. Well, you're supposed to, people don't. There you go. So, this allows the rock on the springs, it'll still grip. No matter what's going on, if that was slightly thicker than that one, it will still grip. It might hit it, the roller might hit it at a slight angle, which will reduce the width, but it's only if it's extreme differences in thickness. If it's fairly close, it will make a lot of difference. But you see, if you pass 3 pieces of wood through, all right, there'll be a piggy in the middle. And that piggy might be taller, or that piggy might be shallower. You know, not as tall, like me. And as you pass it through the planer, right, whichever piece of wood is the thickest, right, it's going to push that roller up higher, Then the other 2 pieces of wood, the drive roller that's pulling it through, right, including the exit roller as well. And what happens is they won't engage with the slightly narrower pieces of wood. Same difference if you've got 2 tall pieces and 1 narrow piece. The narrow piece will just stay put and nothing will happen. You'll go, oh, crikey. I've got to push it all the way through now because it's jamming on the old pawls and that. So you can't get it out, This machine doesn't actually have pawls, but, some machines have these little fingers that stop, helping it kick back. But, so that's one of the things you've got to watch out for. So my recommendation to you would be only never pass any more than 2 pieces of wood through at a time. There are ways around this. There are things you can do to actually allow you to do that if you've got small pieces. One is double-sided sticky tape. You stick them together with double-sided sticky tape and you can pass them through as a block if you want. The other thing you can do is use super glue and stuff like that, just little blobs, and you can separate them afterwards so you can pass them through all together. The other thing I've done in the past is I've actually put a clamp on the end there, all right, a quick release clamp, and as it's gone part way through, I'll then whack the clamp off there, and or have 2 clamps and take that one off or whatever and put one on this end, so whatever piece of wood, it becomes the driver of the other 2, if you understand what I mean. So there are things you can do if you've got awkward timber. And the same applies not just for timber that is of different heights, different thicknesses. It also applies to timber that isn't straight. So if you've got a bit of bending timber, so for instance, it creates a hump where it's bouncing across 2 ends of the table, the middle bit's going to be high, and potentially that could push the roller up, especially if one is box planes, because the rollers are not very strong, the springs aren't. Oh, there goes my compressor. And whereas this machine here, which you can adjust all the rollers up behind these panels. There's a video on this channel how you can actually do that. So you've got your tolerances up and down. Because if you don't adjust them correctly or you're not in the range, what you find is a bottom out on one side but not the other. Because that's no good either. So you've got to maintain your machine, all right? And most of these box type planers, they don't really give you a lot of movement in them, a lot of room to actually adjust them. So that's what I would do, all right? If I was having a problem passing timber through the planer, and they're not going through all at the same time, if you're doing multiple pieces, I would, in even a single piece to be honest, I would use some candle wax or paraffin wax like that, and make sure your tables are well waxed on both sides, all right? Bearing in mind, if you are laminating or anything like that, you don't want wax on your laminations, obviously, because glue is going to fix it, ain't going to stick. So I would do that. Make sure that your drive rollers, all right, both of them are clean, all right, because both these rollers on this machine, all right, there's one on either side of the cut here, both of them actually drive the wood through. And if they're not clean, you've got to build up a residue on your rollers, especially resin, all right, well then that's going to cause you issues regarding pulling the wood through. And if the rubber roller machines, like most of those box planers are, make sure that they are perfect, squeaky clean, all right? And you've got a bit of rub and alcohol and stuff to get rid of the resin and stuff on. Don't try and sand them. just clean them off. Make sure they're really clean. Don't put different sizes of pieces of wood through the planer, especially if you're trying to pass more than 2 pieces. If you're doing 2 pieces, you'll find the planer will do a much better job. Because what can happen is the piece of wood, I'm losing my voice now, the piece of wood that is the thinnest, or not engaging as tightly as the other 2, it could judder on the actual cutter, and you'll get loads of little scallops in the cut. And it's a mess. It just looks horrible, and you've got to scrap it and start again. So anyway, I hope that helps somebody. Please click the like button and maybe subscribe to the channel. And it's a bit fuzzy. It's not a very good definition there today, is there? I think it's lights affecting the camera. Oh no, I've got a tape for lens hood. Anyway, I've literally got duct tape on the camera. I'll show you. There you go. Can you see how hazy it got? Right in the corner there. So I just put a bit of duct tape on the hat just to block some of the extremely slight ambient light a little bit. That does help a little bit. Apart from you can see tape now. Oh, horrible. Ugh, looks like it's been. Yeah, I'll do. Anyway, please click the like button and maybe subscribe to the channel and the bell icon, because then you get one place in your pocket every time I upload another video. And I would like to know your tips and tricks, and what would you like me to do next? What kind of videos would you like me to make? Do you need help with something? Yes. Dr. Mark is here. Oh, Wally. Oh, that's Wally. He might know. Where is he? Where's my Wally dog? Toodaloo.